Hey friends, welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about my December wrap up. Actually, December I didn't read as many books in December. Of course, due to the holiday and traveling and spending time with family and friends, reading kind of went down low on the totem pole, but because I started my channel this year, I wanted to get some more videos out and kind of, expose or talk about most of my reading taste and just share my joy with you. Can we share joy? Because I just love books. So, the first book that I finished this month, the first book I finished for the month of December was The Hero of Ages. In my November wrap up, I talked about finishing up The Well of Ascension, and I have completed this series. And I'm going to tell Hero of Ages by Brando Sando. We know we love him. We love some Brando Sando. And this is a 5-star read. The entire series, I plan on doing a video on my thoughts on the series as a whole. And this was somewhere between books 2 and 3, between Well of Ascension and this book. It changed for me. It ceased to be about let me tell you about the book. Hero of Ages, the Mistborn trilogy is set in the world of Luthendale, and there are classes of people, the Sky and the Mistborns. The Mistborns people in this world can burn metals, so aluminum, tin, copper. They can ingest metals and burn them and use them for superhuman strength and speed, and it just pretty much gives them a sensory overload. And there's a girl we follow named Vin, and she is a street urchin, and she comes across this group of heisters, or this crew who wants to overthrow the Lord Ruler and all the events that happen. This is set in a heist format, so think like Ocean's 11, which I found so fascinating. I had not read anything ever really around a heist, and so it was so well done. So book 1 was great, book 2 was even better, but book 3 just took it to an entire new level. And so I'm so excited to start in the Stormlight Archive in 2022 with Brando Sando. That's my guy. But this book really evaluates faith and belief in love, and the questions that we all ask ourselves about hope and what is the point of living, what is the point of believing, what is the point of hope. And it evaluates that. That is some of the deeper themes that I found so fascinating and so captivating when I was reading this. And this series will be a series I'm going to keep and ensure my children read when they're of age, because it is so prolific, it is so profound. The metaphors, the themes of war and the consequences of war and friendship and love, not insta love, y'all, like some of those rom-coms. No slouch to everybody who likes a good rom-com. I'm not a big romance reader, but romance for me in a story has to have depth and meaning, and it should have a natural progress and flow of time like love is in real life. Okay, so this book does all of these things: the world, the mist, just the characters and how their arcs start off. You follow characters that you did not think would end a certain way, or you would be following them, but it was such a wonderful time. 5 stars. This story will stay with me for many years to come. My children gonna read this story, y'all. My children gonna read this story. Great time. 5 stars. Now, y'all, I had to follow up with, I was trying to figure out when I was doing this video where I'm gonna put this book at. This book was the most disappointing, and I don't know why I do this to myself. I don't know why I try to venture into YA, because YA in 2021 and YA from 2011 and 2012 when I was a young adult, I still am a young adult, but YA for that time period, it just hit different. And so this book, The Ones We're Meant to Find, how do I say it's not trash? Now, this is my subjective opinion. Okay, this is my subjective opinion. Although the cover is beautiful, look at the cover. Let's talk about the good things. Let's start with the good things. Or should we start with the bad things first? Let's start with the bad things first and then end with the good things. I don't know. It's a little. We just gonna roll with it. We're just gonna roll with it. So the ones we're meant to find. I heard a lot of great things about this story. It is a young adult sci-fi. This is how it's pitched, and essentially, I'm just gonna read the binder here. Cece woke up on the shore of an abandoned island. She has no idea how she came to be. A world away, 16-year-old STEM prodigy Casey is also looking to escape from the science she once believed in from her home. These are two sisters who have lost each other, and they're trying to find their way back. They're trying to figure out answers in this dystopian eco-city world. That is about as much science as it is. Now, as for me, I am a dedicated, hardcore science fiction, high fantasy reader. I take it very seriously. I really enjoy it. If you see my other videos, you know I love me some Robin Hobb, some Brando Sando, some Brent Weeks, you know, just a really big tome, an epic adventure. I enjoy those kinds of stories. And so I wanted to see where this would land for me. And this landed right in the trash. This is going to be unhauled for me. This is my subjective opinion. I'm sure there are other people who have other ideas and thoughts about it, but young adult fiction, fantasy, young adult of any genre, it just hits differently for me now. It's very shallow, and it's more of a romance than anything. And my biggest issue with this story was that it was just science fiction terms like eco-science, you know, ecosystems and robots, and, you know, science fiction presentation or a science fiction backdrop doesn't mean it's science fiction. The ending was lackluster. There was no ending. The love story was just, I didn't care anything about it. I really didn't understand the point of it. I thought that it had a really good start. It had a great idea and a premise about two sisters who are trying to find each other and their way back. One's lost on an island, one's in the socio-economic political atmosphere of this eco city and this eco world, this eco science world. See, I can't even explain it to you because it wasn't really done that well. And the flap, you know, venture into this in your own pace. But if you enjoy romance, if you enjoy, you know, a light, like a little bit, like dip your toe in with a little science fiction, like it's not too much, you know, and it's not a lot of characters, this may be for you. You might enjoy this, but as for me, it did not land for me. I gave it I actually listened to this on audio because just sitting here reading through it, it was just, I can't. And I did not. So I did rent the audiobook from my local library, and it kind of helped me get through it. And normally I DNF books like this when I don't connect with a story up to, you know, I'll DNF a book after a paragraph. I have no issue with that. I'll DNF a book after 400 pages. I have no issue with that. My goal for reading is to have a good time, and I want to have fun when I'm reading. I don't want to feel like I'm like slogging through the story. I mean, it's okay if I don't agree with everything in the story, but I want to have fun. I want to be intrigued. I want to like feel like I'm on a journey to something, and this just was not for me. Reads way too young. And then there are, I would say maybe it could be for, you know, teenagers, but there are adult scenes that happen that are just cringy and totally inappropriate in my opinion, because I don't believe anything that the characters are going through, and just incredibly shallow. But then it's supposed to be science fiction. So I did not really enjoy my time, but my book bestie, you know, she tends not to DNF books even if she's really not having a good time. So I said, you know what, I'm going to try to apply this principle, and I'm going to do it. And I can say I did it in 2021 because Chrissy's Library is not going to be doing that in 2022. You can better believe it. I'm going back to DNFing. So because of that, even though I didn't DNF, if I read it, I'm going to give it a bad star. So just because my subjective opinion has nothing to do, if it's a 1 star, I tend to DNF because, it is a subjective opinion and I don't want to rate a book that I haven't fully read. But I read this one. This one got 1 star upon the read. But then I gave it another star because the cover is just, isn't the cover beautiful? Look at that. With the water, and then let me show you the hard cover. I don't know if you can see it because of the lighting, but look at that. Isn't it beautiful? Beautiful, beautiful and gorgeous cover, honey. It's going to the on-haul pile. So I'm going to donate this to another reader who might find it fun and have a great time. Not really for me, though. But 2 stars. Meh. The next book I finished this month was called Project Hail Mary. So here we go. We lead off with horrible science fiction and we finish it with just beauty and grace. She's beauty and she's grace. She's Miss Project Hail Mary. This is how you do science fiction. Now, maybe it's just because the ones we went to find was a, pick, for young adult audiences, those who are really trying to get their feet wet into science fiction. But this is science fiction for sure. It is about a scientist / astronaut. He wakes up in space, light years from Earth, and he doesn't remember a thing. So his journey is to find out why he's here, what his purpose is, why did Earth send him out here in the middle of light years away from, why did Earth send him way out in the middle of nowhere in space? And so he has to figure that out. And it is captivating. The story is captivating. It is so funny. Andy Weir does an amazing job. Andy Weir also wrote The Martian. So if you've seen the movie, it was great. I actually read The Martian earlier this year and I had a great time. Then, of course, I followed up with the movie. It was a great adaptation of the movie. I would love for them to adapt this as well. This would be such a great movie. I have to say, it would be such a great movie. And to say any more than I said would just be to spoil it. So, but this was funny. It was captivating. It caused you to think. My favorite line in the book was when he said, "I am the great philosopher Pendulous." I know that doesn't sound funny to you if you haven't read it, but it's absolutely hilarious to me. So I'm going to just leave that in there. But it was a great time. This is a book of the month pick. And I have a serious backlog of book of the months. So we'll get there. We'll get there. But it was captivating. It was fun. I found myself feeling like, once again, am I an astronaut? And in the field that I am in, I can totally relate to having to solve problems and having everything just blow up in your face and starting over to try to figure out the solution. But every failure leads to the solution and to the answer. And in a lot of ways, this book kind of encouraged me because, there are projects and things in my career and in my job that I do that are very, very complicated. And I found this to be like, you know what, it's okay. Like, okay, so you fail at, trying to figure out this one specific problem, but there is an answer and you will find the answer and there will be such a great reward for it in the end. So this was such a great time. I'm glad, this was a great way to follow up on that slog of a fake science fiction book I just read before. And so it was fun. I had a great time. I recommend it. It's definitely accessible for all readers. You don't have to really be into science fiction to read this. It's accessible. It is adult. So, no teenagers or anything like that. In my opinion, I mean, you could tell your kids to read whatever they want to read. But if I had children, this is a little too old for them. But it was so much fun. And I had a great time. I definitely recommend this one. Great, great, great. So, drum roll please. My last and final book that I read this month is my favorite book of the month. let me just go get my notes because I wrote a lot about this. If you see me looking down, I am looking at my notes from my reading journal. So let me know if you want to see some spreads, my reading journal spreads. Let me know. I am going to be starting my 2022 reading journal. I'm so excited. I love doing reading journals. It's so great. It just makes the experience better. Okay. I'll be all on bunny trails. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. Notes for Spinning Silver. So this book was everything everyone said it was and more. Naomi Novik put layer upon layer in this story. There's just so many points to talk about. But let me tell you what this book is about. This book is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. And it is about set in the Miriam is the daughter and granddaughter. Miriam is the daughter and granddaughter of a Jewish moneylender, and because her father is empathetic, they have fallen on hard times because her father feels bad collecting the money. So she sets about changing that for herself. This story surrounds 3 points of views of Miriam. This story is centered around Miriam and 2 other young women. And what I found so interesting about this story is like these women all operated in their agency. They weren't, about, woe is me and I'm just going to sit here and take it. They really used every opportunity that they had to make their lives better for their families and for themselves and the ones they love. They took risks. They had consequences to decisions they made. But I'm going to tell you, even when it was a consequence, it was always for the benefit in the long run. What I really enjoyed about this story was the setting of winter. Everyone would tell me like, oh my gosh, this book is so great. It's perfect to read in winter around Christmas. And I was like, I don't really read for atmospheric reasons and things like that. But I'm going to tell you, my cold felt cold. I had like the fireplace light on. I had a blanket and it was like 72 degrees outside, but I felt cold. Oh my God. So the atmosphere that Naomi can just, takes you in, and it just, the cold and the snow just envelops you, because this whole time this is set in the winter, and the winter is coming, and the winter is a winter king, and he's crazy. And so it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm probably doing a horrible synopsis of this, but I highly recommend it. The culture, the settings, the family dynamics, family found. No, there's no insta love. The romance is definitely a subplot to the story, which I totally enjoy, and it was so worth it. I found myself reading the last 2 pages over and over again because I just did not want the story to end. It was so much fun. I recommended this to my mother and my auntie because I believe they would enjoy it. I really think anyone could read this story of any age. It is not overtly, there are some adult themes in it, maybe a teenager or something like that, but I'm gonna tell you, this was so good. I'm gonna read it every December now because it just had the tone was so metaphoric, and the metaphors in the story, the characters, the ability for Naomi to paint a world that is very similar to ours but is different in certain ways, and I just found that so fascinating. I was just so captivated. I wanted to understand why things were happening, and I was rooting for every single one of these women. One thing to keep in mind though, there are the points of view in the story do change, and the chapters it doesn't tell you like, okay, this particular character is talking. It just jumps right in to whoever the character is, and so that could be a little jarring at first, but once it happens a couple of times, you'll get used to it, and the voices are very distinct, and you'll be able to pick up on it. But I tell you, I recommend this. This was my favorite book of the month, and I want to share with everyone. Maybe we could do a buddy read next December, Lord willing. It would be great. Please share my joy. It was so much fun. Spinning Silver Spinning silver in my heart. So great. So great. Great time. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching this whatever I got going on at this channel. I'm just having a good time talking about books. So talk books with me. We can talk books. We can talk all of the books. If you got any comments or anything like that, let me know. Did you read any science fiction this month? How many books did you read? Did you have a good reading year since it's the last month of the year for reading? Did you find yourself just reading a couple? Did you meet any goals? That was a lot of questions to ask y'all, but y'all feel my heart and my vibe. So anyway, check me out next time. So anyway, I hope you have a great holiday season, a happy new year, and don't forget your library card. Bye.